Today I'm in Tea and Coffee Bean. Annie's at home, not very well, so I picked up the laundry, picked up a chocolate, got myself a coffee, got myself my Pellegrino, and I've just had my burnt bass cheesecake. Today's vlog is believable or unbelievable? I don't know. I'm still trying to get it through my head. I met somebody yesterday who I last saw 2.5 years ago, and she was talking about helping me with my SRRV visa in the Philippines. Well, welcome back. I was in Tea and Coffee Bean when I started this vlog, but it got so noisy and they kept turning up the music. And it just become very, very difficult to think straight. So, believe it or believe it not. That's the vlog today. About 3 years ago, before I went back to the UK to get my passport, I was talking to a woman here in Davao. She's Filipino. But she helps people with their visas and helps people with Bayan and their 13A application process. And she works in an immigration firm. So, and she's based in Davao, but most of her work's based out of Manila. Now, yesterday I was in Udon Noodle and I bumped into her after nearly 3 years, and we started chatting. And a great conversation, and she's a lovely woman. She's 66. I don't know why she still works, because she can retire, or maybe she doesn't have enough money. I don't really know. But we sat there and we were chewing over what we've been doing and what's been going on. And I turned around and I said to her about how's the visa business, and she was turning around and saying that it's okay, there's less foreigners coming in and there's less foreigners wanting help, but she's got this project she's been working on for the last 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, and being nosy like me, I just turned around and I said, well, what's that? She goes, oh, great grandfather was Spanish, one of the colonial Spanish that came to the Philippines. And she's filled out an application to apply for a Spanish passport, dual citizenship, using her great-grandfather as Spanish blood and Spanish heritage to apply. Now, whether you agree with having 2 passports or whether you don't agree with having 2 passports, or whether it's the law you have 2 passports, I've got my own views. I think if, you know, I'm British, but my father is Irish, his father is Scottish, my mother's English, but her mother was Welsh, but my father's nan, or my father's mother, her father was Scandinavian, which means I could apply for all those passports out of all those countries. But do I want to? Well, not really, no. I don't want to be walking around with citizenship in 5 countries and being taxed in 5 countries, or having to turn around and be accountable for 5 countries. I think people that do dual citizenship do it for a reason, and that reason is up to them what they do it for. For me, I don't need to turn around and get a work permit. You know, I'm not going to apply to work in Europe. I'm retired. And I was saying that to the woman yesterday, and she was applying, and she was giving her swing on it, and I was, yeah, I accept it. I accept what she's going to turn around and do. But I was really shocked And I mean, really, really shocked. I'm an old guy. There's not a lot in this world that shocks me. And she turned around and she was showing me pictures of her family, and her family were applying for, or let's put it, they were putting forward their, begins with P, I can't remember what the word is now. They were putting forward their proposal and their representation for application to be considered for dual citizenship. Spain. Now she's got great grandfather, so her daughter would have a great grandfather, put another great on that. Her daughter's children would have a great, and they're putting all of this application. So we were just, I was saying to her, I said, well, what do you need to do for it? She goes, well, you get the application for making your proposal and making your presentation, and then you need to do your birth certificate, and then you need to get a birth certificate from your great grandfather and how you're linked into his part of this Spanish colonial heritage. And I was becoming quite intrigued, really. I was like looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, okay. And she's, as I said, she's showing me these pictures, and I turned around and I jokingly said that, I said, oh, are all your family applying? And she turned around and said, oh yes. So there wasn't any ha from me. There was like a bit of disbelief. And since we last met 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, before I went back to the UK, she'd actually pulled together this proposal. And that proposal is not, I thought maybe 20, 30 people. It's not 20 or 30 people. It stretches back to the great grandfather from her. But from that date, coming this way, it's around 400 to 1,000 relatives putting a presentation together with their birth certificate. So she's put forward how she links into great-grandfather through her mother, and the Spanish link, and then the Filipino link, have joined them together, and then it goes like that. It opens all the way out to people that live in Mindanao, the people the family that are in Palawan, that are in Tarlac, that are in Quezon, that are in what do they call it? It's gone. There's about 15 cities around the Philippines that all have a link to this, and some of the family live in Malaysia, and some are living in Singapore now, and some are working in Dubai, and some are working in Arab Emirates, and some are working in Hong Kong. They're all linked into this family and this colonial, and I don't know how far it goes back, and how far countries turn around and say that, you know, if you've got relations, like me, I got my dad and then his father, so that's my grandfather, was Scottish. But I just worry, I was just thinking about it, going, well, if you can do it because part of your family are related, how far can you stretch it into your family? Is it direct family, indirect family, indirect relations? Does it go back to cousins? Does it go back to aunties? But I was just trying to find out from this woman yesterday, and the woman was really open about it. She turned around and said that she's got 3,000 birth certificates. 1,000 birth certificates. She's got 3,000 documents to support the doctors and the family tree and the not geologist, the family tree support group that based in the Philippines that have put everything together, through birth certificates, towns, cities, and she's put all this together, and she's presented it to the Spanish embassy and the Philippine embassy about 10 months ago, and she's got her family hearing on the 14th of November this year at the Spanish embassy in Manila to review the documentation for a passport or passports or many passports for her family to be Spanish, have Spanish passports and have Filipino passports. I was really shocked that people want to turn around and take the process of getting that passport. Because if you do become a citizen of Spain, do you have to renounce your Philippine passport? So when I first came here to the Philippines and I applied for my SRRV, they wanted to know, did I want Philippine residency? And I said, no, I don't. Because if I do that, then I lose my pension, I lose my benefits back in the UK, health service. They might not be worth much, now, because the Gen Z group of people in the UK seem to be bastardising the infrastructure of the UK, and the government just seems to be inept at turning around. But that's what happens when you get old people trying to run government, because they don't have a clue really. But anyway, that's a different subject to go down. I digress. So I had a really good conversation with this woman for about three and a half hours over lunch, because she was waiting for somebody to come from a 7-day Adventist church. They were at Mass, and her two friends who were family members were all part of this group doing this representation on the 14th of November. So I said to her, well, let me know. We'll meet up before Christmas. I'll treat you to lunch, and you can let me know how far you didn't get, or do you get, or do you believe it, or unbelievable, or I don't really know what to think, really. I just find it baffling that you've got the gall to put down 1,000 names for Spanish passports. I mean, Spain would be loving it, wouldn't they? Because, they're all going to be charging you 250 to 300 euros for a passport. And can the people in the Philippines afford to spend 70,000 pesos on a flight to Spain? Do they have any family in Spain? Are they connected to any relatives? And the woman couldn't explain that, because I turned around and said, are you still in contact? Are you with places in family in Spain from your great-great-grandfather? Well, no. I said, well, what city would you like to live in? And she goes, well, I don't know. She asked me, she goes, is Madrid nice? I said, yeah, Madrid's nice. It's very expensive. I said, but, you've got other cities like Barcelona and Bilbao and Galicia and Salamanca and Abilia and Seville and Cáceres. These cities, Tarragona, Valencia, they're all great cities. But if you're just going to be a Spanish passport immigrant, as I look at it, and you don't have any family culture and nobody's linking in, you're just turning up with a passport into a city and they're trying to live. Spain is not as cheap as it used to be, and I was explaining this. I lived in Spain for 10 years and I like Spain. I don't like the foreign aspect of it, the British foreign aspect of it in Marbella and southern Spain. Because back in the 60s and the 70s, if you were a gangster in the UK, the main place you went to hide was down in southern Spain. It's not like that now. Maybe I think most of them are all moved on, or they've all been arrested. But it used to be synonymous in southern Spain. It's a lovely country. I travelled all the way through it, but I enjoy Spain, and I got some very, very nice friends there. But the woman I was talking to yesterday still doesn't know anybody in Spain, and I'm like, well, why are you applying for a Spanish passport and citizenship? But anyway, she's going through that. So I found that really baffling yesterday. I found it really intriguing that you don't have to renounce your passport here in the Philippines if you're a Filipino to go and get a passport. You just need to apply for it. But I said to her, come, let's get back at Christmas, meet up and have some lunch, and then you can let me know out of 1,000 people you've applied for, and you put all the documentation for it and all the pictures, because it's a substantial amount of work. I mean, it's 5 pictures for each person, and they've got to be a 2x2. You've got to have all these affidavits and notarization, and that's all cost a lot of money to get this far, because all your documentation needs to be notarized and it all needs to be stamped. So unless they've got somebody in the family that's got a notarization stamp and they just keep doing that and keep stamping it and signing it, it's going to cost you, a few thousand peso plus. But I'm still a bit taken back. I still don't understand whether it's to believe it or not to believe it. But she was adamant. She showed me all these pictures of all the families and all the documentation that's been filled out, and all the birth certificates she's got on her phone. It's all been saved to the cloud, and she's scanning through this. She's got a file with all the birth certificates, a file with all the documentation, a file with all that, how the family tree works, and genealogy. That's what it's called. I got there eventually. And it's mad. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, guys, but I know lots of people that have got dual passports, and I know a lot of people that have actually got, but I've never found anybody that's got virtually all of their family and all of their relations applying for Spanish passports based on a great grandfather who was colonial Spanish.